Good evening. I'm your host, Mark Roberts with First Venture Partners, and tonight's show is about solar energy, particularly home-based solar energy. There's a lot of new options available now that weren't available just a couple of years ago. Thanks in large part, I might say, to Elon Musk. Many of you know him from Tesla fame and other things. He put a lot of cash into making solar energy affordable for ordinary homeowners. It's astounding what he's actually done, and it's had a huge impact on the industry. Solar is exploding absolutely everywhere. And I just had solar put on my own house, and a lot of people were asking me about it, and we thought, hey, this would make a great show for us, to just let people know how it works, what you can do, what you get, the whole bit. So with me are two guests tonight, Tony and Sinead, who are from Solar City, which is the company that put it in for my house. They're the biggest, but they can answer a lot of questions. There's other competitors out there as well. They're not the only one. So welcome.
Great. Thank you very much for having us down. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And let's see, why don't we start by just talking about the kind of solar we're actually talking about here, because there's lots of different kinds of solar.
Yep.
So.
Yep. So with solar, the ones that we put on the home, as well as many other companies are doing, is called photovoltaic, also known as PV panels. As of right now, the costs for them are dropping dramatically. So that's why people are seeing a lot more of them popping up on people's homes, popping up on commercial businesses, and also on solar farms as well. So that's the most popular and also the most traditional form of solar panel that we're finding.
Cool. There's also solar water heaters, which is really a thermal conductivity kind of a process.
Yep, so thermal solar, that's where it's just all about heating up water for the home. And so the water is pumped up to the roof to these a little bit larger than your regular PV panels and heated up from there and brought back down to the home. There's a lot of other technologies out there. A lot of people have heard of these solar roads. I know it was there was a lot of talk about it spread throughout social media, and that's actually how a lot of people have been gaining excitement about solar. And you're seeing a lot of other things popping up, and it's going to be an awesome future.
Yeah. Ray Kurzweil, who is arguably the best technology forecaster we have, said about, I think it's 3 years ago now, that within 10 years, by 2020, we would be drowning in cheap solar. He said everybody's panicking over energy and all that, and he said they don't see where the breakthroughs are coming, because nanotechnology is driving a lot of it, and everybody's looking like straight ahead at the classic photovoltaics, which are expensive, but the nanotechnology is really helping drive the cost curve way down.
Yeah, and you alluded to it at the beginning of how solar is becoming affordable to everyone. And it's really thanks in part to the PPA agreement, which is a power purchase agreement right now that we're offering.
PPA, power purchase agreement? Yeah.
Correct. Yes, it's really enhancing the solar industry right now. What it is for no money out of pocket, homeowners in the state are eligible to go solar as long as their home is qualified.
What makes a home qualified?
Sure, great question. I mean, few things to qualify a home. One is shading, so trees, naturally.
None.
Naturally. No, it doesn't need to be none. Typically, we could deal with trees if they're 45 feet or less, and it all depends on where they're stationed on the property. And then mounting planes, the shape of the roof definitely plays a large part. But a few years back, panels, due to the efficiency, could only go on southern portions of the roof. Since the efficiencies have proved greatly, we could do east, west without a problem.
Oh.
So it's a lot of people think that you could only do southern proportion, but that's not the case. That's not the case.
So would it work for somebody with an east-west facing roof?
Oh, absolutely.
That's correct. Yep. The only mounting plane in the state of Connecticut that we cannot conduct a solar installation currently is northern.
Wow, what a surprise.
Yes. Yeah. Unless you live in Hawaii, then you can do it.
Where the sun don't shine. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I thought we were lucky because our house, half the roof faces directly south. with very few trees that block it. I think just very early morning, the first hour or something, way off to the east, but that was it.
Yeah.
And so,
And actually, in Connecticut, even though, yes, we do have a lot of trees, it's a great place to go solar. There's
in the trees?
Not in the trees, around them, or in between them, I should say. But there's other states, even out west, that you're seeing that they also have a lot of trees, very similar to how Connecticut is set up. And they're also doing very well as well. So we can deal with shading, a certain amount, that is. And with that, obviously, south facing, like Tony said, is prime, but east and west, you're not rolled out for that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I remember when we first started, before you even get into it, some engineers came out and did some estimates, and they sort of eyeballed where the tree lines and where the sun would come up and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, we always recommend, having a consultant come out to the home to physically take a look at the property. Satellite imagery is great, and having the software now to actually look at the home before we go out there is phenomenal, but you really don't get the true vision until you're out on the property to take a look at the trees and the setup of the mounting plane for solar. And that's step one, to set up an appointment to having a consultant out to the property.
Yeah, but what surprised me was we did that, and so then somebody showed up, but they showed up with this 12-page report, including Google Sky maps, photographs of our house, from aerial photographs of the house, which showed the roof, and then somebody had drawn where the solar panels would go on the roof, and so they counted how many could be put. So I think we have 16 or 18.
Okay.
Awesome.
And it fills the whole roof. I mean, except for one single dormer, and that's it. And it's full of solar panels.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it is cool. It's we will give you a proposal right on the spot, like you mentioned, a full detailed report.
Yeah.
Consultation takes about an hour, and we'll walk you through exactly what we can offer.
And
Yep. And I would definitely have to say that, in order to be eligible as well, is you have to either be working with United Illuminated or UI, as well as Connecticut Light and Power. So that's, if we have that information, your utility bill is, it reads, we'll be able to read that, see how much you're using, see how much you're being charged. And that's a good indicator of the size of the system as well. So seeing how much power that you're using throughout the year, that gives us a better reading on the size. So we can, maybe you don't use that much power, so you only need a small system. But if you have the room for it on your roof and you do have a large usage, you can put a fairly large system on there. It kind of ranges in terms of how much power that solar array can make for you. It's normally in between 30 to 70% that we're making. But we do have every once in a while, those are very lucky people, where we can make 100% of their power.
yeah.
And that's the thing. And now we have technology, like you said, originally they were drawing out panels onto paper. We don't do that anymore. Right now we have a lot of there's a lot of software out there using Google Maps and using a CAD-like program where we can figure out exactly how many panels, and you can estimate throughout in 365 days a year how much power is going to be coming off of that. So you get a really good reading of how much, what percentage of your bill is going to be coming from solar, and what's going to be coming from the grid at that point too.
Yeah. Yeah. The way our system actually works is we're connected to the grid. The estimate was we would get 52% of our power from solar.
Sure.
It's a little house, but I've got a friend who got 98%.
Yep. Yeah, I know. People get
She has a bigger
competitive. People
house.
get competitive with that.
But we couldn't fit any more panels on the roof.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay.
It's okay. You did your part. It's fine.
And so I guess during the day, when we tend not to use that much electricity, because we're at work and all that sort of thing and out and about, the solar panels are working, and so it's pumping it onto the grid, selling it into CLMP, and then we get it back at night when we need it. We draw it back off the grid, right?
Yep.
So that's
Sure.
generally how it works.
Yeah, to get into the process and the infrastructure on how the system's actually tied into the grid, the process is called net metering. The way net metering works, it's going to be a meter swap. So currently, meters are flowing forward from the grid into the house. What our meter is going to do is flow both forward and backwards. So during the day, the sunlight is hitting the panels, creating that kilowatt hour, flowing through that meter,
Yeah.
banking it as a credit, going into the grid for when you need to consume it later. You're going to pay it at our rate versus the utility company's rate. Very popular way to grid tie the system called net metering.
So
Cool.
it's a really great way of producing power at your prime points but you might not be in the home, and then you can use it the next day or at night or even in the winter months when you're not producing very much. So it's a good way of putting on a size system that needs all of your needs, not just instantaneous usage. So that's why net metering is considered a virtual storage, because batteries aren't where they need to be at this point. But net metering, which is tied in with the utility, allows us to have that.
Yeah. Well, the way the electric grid itself works,
Yeah.
right, is the heavy use is during the day.
Yes.
During business
Yes.
hours.
Yeah.
Sure.
basically. And so that's peak demand. And so if we're putting it into the system, then we take it back when it's less, so that's more efficient.
Exactly.
More efficient for the system overall.
Exactly, and a lot of homeowners' number one concern is what happens during the winter time, naturally when the sun isn't as strong or out as often. And that's where net metering is going to play a very large role, because during the summertime months, we're able to produce more than the home may be able to, needs to use. So we're going to be banking those kilowatt hour credits for the wintertime months.
Oh, you make beyond more than the day,
Exactly, yep,
Oh.
exactly.
so on a long-term basis.
It just keeps rolling over and rolling.
Oh, cool. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's all automated as well, so you don't have to sit there and calculate.
Going off on that, most with companies is they're going to be guaranteeing you a certain amount of kilowatt hours. Now, this isn't just some number that we're throwing out there. This is a number that we have 3 entities looking at those numbers to make sure that that those are being kept up. So first off, you have the utility that's watching it to make sure that that's how much power that we're producing for you. Also, we're watching it as well, just to make sure that we're living up to that amount that we're guaranteeing to you. And then also you can watch it as well. So, either the company will have an app for you to watch it, making sure that it has live up-to-date data, or you can go out to your inverter or meter and be watching it as well. It kind of depends, but it's a good way of keeping making sure that all the people within, or all the entities within the project are keeping up to what they said that they were.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
And that's really fun
Monitoring.
to say.
Yeah, it's a great way it's a great interactive way to engage the homeowner throughout the process. Like Sinead mentioned, being able to utilize an app or a website where you can actually see and filter out exactly how many kilowatt hours your system's producing daily, monthly, annually. You could compare it, last year's versus this year's. Very interactive way to see what your system's producing.
Yeah, I've downloaded the iPhone app.
Okay.
So I can watch it. But CLNP is just due to connect us up like tomorrow or something.
Yeah.
So it's this week
Okay.
sometime.
Okay.
So we haven't run it. I haven't actually seen the app in action.
Okay.
But
So you're in the inspection stage?
that's done. The
The
city's
inspection
come and
stage, okay.
inspected it. And so now it's just waiting for CLNP to come out
Okay.
and put it in the meter
Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
and throw the switch.
And that's the most exciting part. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're still, nothing's changed yet.
Okay,
Other than the
all
roof
right.
looks funny.
That's fine. Yeah.
Well,
Well, that's the thing, with the actual, so you brought up what stage you are
Yeah.
in right now. And especially that stage, it can't, we kind of call it, it's like, a period basically like in between where there's the install to we're waiting for it to actually turn on. And yeah, that's the most exciting time. And, but there are some steps like before that. So I might just go into that if
Sure.
that's fine.
Sure.
So we talked about the consultation. That's basically just seeing if it makes sense for you to go solar. That's laying out the design, seeing how much power that you're using, and giving you that design to let you know that's what's going to be installed.
Yeah. So you typically ask for like utility bill? Right?
Yes. So utility bill is key. We look at the last year's usage to get a feel for what you're going to be needing in the future. And that also shows us how much you've been charged for your electricity. And it's good to just know how your utility bill reads. In Connecticut, there's been a lot of legislation, a lot of news media about the rising utility rates. Obviously, going solar is a great way to avoid any of those rates for price protection and savings. But also understanding how your bill works. I think that's what everyone should understand. It's kind of, you shouldn't be taking that for granted.
Yeah, right.
So, and with that, you always want to, once we have the design set up, it's a permitting process, making sure that the town's all set. And then when we get the utilities approval, we can actually start installing it. The install, it depends on who the company that you went with. It can be a day, it can be like maybe a little longer than that, and also depends on the mounting planes. So that's how many roofs you're putting them on.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's just the inspection, and then you're up and running at that point. So, you always want to be guided through that and make sure that that's clear and know who's responsible for what, because there's a lot of paperwork with the permitting process that you probably didn't see.
Right.
It can be a tough job. I give that department like all, as much credit as they deserve. But yeah, that's definitely one thing to be aware of, at least, that there's work behind the scenes, but there's processes out there now that are so simple, like I just went over, that you can go solar with.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, the process and the way we saw it was it was pretty simple. Somebody came out with the drawings. They asked us where we lived to get the exact physical address, because we had a couple of places we were looking at doing, and nobody's apparently active in Taos, New Mexico yet.
Oh no. Okay.
Have a lot of sun, it'd be great.
Yeah,
but not a lot of people.
Slowly but surely.
Yeah.
That's
But
okay.
and so we figured, well, let's try it in London, and didn't really think it would work. It's a small house, but it does face south. But it's just a small 2-bedroom cape kind of a thing. But they came out with the drawings of the house, showed what it was, said it looks like it'll save, I think they said when they came out, 48% of the electricity.
Okay.
So we said, yeah, we'll do it. The first question we had is, well, what happens if we sell the house in a couple of years?
Okay.
Because the contract to buy the energy was, I think it was 20 years or something. And so it just moves with the house. It becomes part of the house like any other utility would be.
Yep.
Yeah, so it just transfers. So that was nice and easy. And so then we got an energy purchase agreement, because we could have of course bought all the equipment and had you install it, but we weren't anxious to make that big an investment, and we could have leased it. You offered us the ability to buy down the energy in advance by paying the bill in advance over 20 years, and seriously cut the cost of the energy. We passed on that one too, and just figured out we'll just buy the energy. And so there's no cost out of pocket. We just started saving money. Now, we don't really spend a lot of electricity anyway, maybe $120 a month.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot to save anyway. But the principle of it was what struck us more, that if we could do it with renewables, that'd be just so much better.
Yeah, no, it's all about protecting yourself, giving yourself the option to have energy independence, controlling your rate, protecting yourself from rate hikes 10 years down the line that are unforeseen. especially in Connecticut, there's going to be a lot of storms, storm damages to a very old grid.
Right.
So we want to be able to protect ourselves and lock in a rate for the term of the 20 years.
Yeah, but it was basically, it was a pretty simple process. We then had the issue of we needed a new roof. And so they said, yeah, you probably really want to get the roof replaced. It's pretty bad. And before we put the panels on. And so we did. My wife's the builder. So she said, oh, I'll just get one of the subs to put a roof on. And that took longer than we thought because there were too many other jobs that were more important than our house.
Yeah.
6 months later,
Yeah.
the guy finally said, oh, yeah, I can do it now. 2 days later, he was at the house and put a new roof on.
Okay, okay.
One day.
Okay.
It's just,
Okay.
saw him on the weekend. Tuesday, he came. And I think the following Monday, you guys came.
See, we're efficient in that.
We were like surprised. It's like, well, it's not even been a week. We got a new roof and solar panels.
Yep.
And I think one of the guys on the crew was sick, so it took slightly over 1 day.
Oh.
But
Okay, okay.
so
All right, that's fine.
it didn't have a full crew.
Okay.
But I was impressed. You know.
Yeah, and like going back to that is like, you know, with you always having the work being done on the home. If you ever need, you know, a new roof being done, you're one of like a couple people, very few people that do need the roof redone beforehand. But with that, you know, you're always having a solar system on your roof actually can extend the lifetime of your roof.
Course.
You know, I don't know what your warranty was like for the roof, but add another 10 years and you're onto it.
Yeah, well,
So-
and the way you install them now is the solar panels right down on the roof. So what's causing
Absolutely.
wear on the roof? Nothing. Nothing. And the panels are like, they touch each other. So it's just like this whole big tarp over the roof, you know, protecting the panels. So yeah, clearly you're going to get at least another 10 years out of the roof. Now, what do you do if, say I got 10 years left on my roof?
Sure.
Then what do I do?
Yeah, no, a lot of homeowners in the state are in the same boat that you just mentioned, and what we offer in our agreement is a one-time fee to come out, take the panels off. You would have your contractor come in, reshingle, and then we would send our crew back out. And the charge is a one-time fee of $499.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's not bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not bad.
Yeah, and it gives you the ability to enjoy solar and the savings for that 10-year duration to pay for that, and then some.
Yep. And that's one thing that, you know, when you're looking at the contract for, we can go over that, but the contract for your solar, I think it's in every homeowner's best interest just to see what is going to be done about your roof. That's where, obviously, that's where the panels are going. It's a very important spot. Making sure that it's good to go beforehand, and what happens, yes, 10 years down the road, where does that lie? That's really important, and we never want to see anyone not go solar because of that. So you know, as someone who's looking into solar, that should be an important
As I
part.
mentioned, my wife's a builder, so she was really worried about how many through roof holes there were. And we were both pretty impressed that the crew came in and completely shored up the roof. So they put in assist ribs. They basically tripled up all the stringers in the roof.
Okay.
We have a phone call. Hello?
Hey, how you doing tonight?
Hey, we're good.
I assume you're talking about solar panels on the roof of houses and businesses?
Houses.
Okay. Now, my question is, in my case, I have a two-family house up and downstairs, plus an attic, so you're up there quite a ways, and the angle of the roof is very steep. Does that make a difference on the price or make a difference in being able to install it?
Thanks for your question. We'll answer it in a second, okay?
Okay, thank you.
So you want to field it? Oops, how do I? Yeah.
Yeah, so my advice is pitches of roofs definitely come into play on how efficient the panels are going to be. What we do during the consultation, A, we're going to tell you if your roof is qualified, and B, we're going to show you what your pitch means as far as efficiency to how many kilowatt hours we're going to be able to produce for you.
And also, if he was on the other side of the spectrum, in the Northeast, we have a lot of snow, and if you have a very shallow pitch.
Yeah.
It's flat. You're not going to get a lot of movement of snow off of it. When you have a higher pitch, that's always good for snow. It moves right off. Also, having the solar panels onto the roof, it actually moves the snow off a lot faster. They do generate a little bit of heat, and that allows it to come off in about anywhere between 12 to 24 hours.
Oh.
So that's not really an issue at this point. And it only really affects efficiency, as well as with yours, if it's south, east, or west facing. Yep.
But you do two-family homes, multiple family homes? That's not an issue?
Well,
multifamily, it all depends on, the deed restrictions and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and also, whose name is on the deed? Whose name is on
commercial property or
Yep.
if it's a private?
Yes, so that's the thing is we have to rely on who says what with the rebates and the incentives.
Yeah.
So we might not get an incentive or a rebate if it's not within their guidelines.
Yeah.
So we have to be careful on that. We don't want to get anyone's hopes up, but the thing is if we just want to make sure that the name is on the deed, the name is on the utility bill, and it meets their guidelines of for the rebates.
Cool.
Yep.
Cool.
So that's something that we can
So-
that's something that we always like to go over with on a case-by-case basis, because not every home or family situation is cookie cutter.
Right. Well,
So,
the
yeah.
thing we didn't make clear at the beginning,
Oh,
which,
okay.
which we should have, is this is a residential-only program.
Yes.
It's the incentives that are taken advantage of and all this work for residences. There are other
Yeah.
programs for commercial businesses that work on a bigger scale. But here we're principally talking about what you can do with your own home.
Absolutely.
And
yeah.
how you can get solar with no investment, no money down, start saving. You don't save a ton, but you start saving immediately and turn your house solar.
Yeah, not only is it no money down, but there's really no liability on the homeowner's behalf. We will, in our case, we do remain owner of the system. So you're simply just paying for the power.
Yeah.
We warranty a roof. We insure the system. Weather in Connecticut, hailstorms, a tree branch, if it were to damage the system, a lot of the time the homeowner thinks they would be liable for it.
Yeah.
Not in the case of a PPA agreement. Solar City would be.
Yep.
So that's another nice peace of mind with what we're able to offer out there.
So literally the way it's working is by agreeing to buy power from Solar City in our case, you're just installing the equipment right on my house instead of at a facility off-site,
Yep.
like CLMP does.
Yep.
It's
Exactly.
off-site.
Yep.
Exactly.
So-
Not solar either, but
Yeah, so that's the thing, is it used to be the case, and it still is that you have a purchase or a leasing. There's a PPA out there, which is called the Power Purchase Agreement.
Yeah.
That's something that our company offers. It's a new approach to solar. It's also a new approach to the utility, because it gives you an option instead of buying from just the utility. You have, just like you have we live in a deregulated state, we have multiple suppliers. We would be, I guess, considered one of your suppliers, but it's being generated on your own roof. So you have more control of that. You don't know where it's, you know where it's coming from. And with those, going back to like how we live in a deregulated state, it was originally put in so we can have competition. It would drive the cost of electricity down. Unfortunately, that's not the case. So we need companies to be coming in and offering a bit of competition. And even if it's solar, if it's any other renewable, they should be able to do that. And this is on a very local scale, literally your home.
yeah.
So.
Yeah, and about 10 years ago or so, the only way to go solar was to purchase.
Right.
And that would entail a $20,000 to $30,000 initial investment. Thus, a lot of people weren't able to do that. So what the PPA has really pioneered is the ability for anyone to go solar based on a few of those qualifications that we discussed. And it's really picking up the growth, not only for Connecticut, but nationwide.
Well, right, and basically the qualification is just, will it work? Is it
Yep.
worth the trouble? Yeah, just a sanity check.
Yep, absolutely.
It'd be pretty dumb to put in a whole solar system and discover, geez, I'm not getting anything out of it to speak of.
Yeah, but I mean, I see some people like that too, who I'm only making 10% of your power, even if it's 10%, 30%, 50%, 70%, 100%,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
You're locking in a part of your bill that you know how much it's going to be. You know that where it's coming from. You know it's clean energy, and I mean, I don't know what to say about it. But so when you go solar, at this point in the game, it can almost be I'd say, but it's almost a no-brainer, because you can. Like you said, like how you did, you went solar with no upfront costs. You're going green.
Yeah.
You're price protected, and all the risk isn't even on you. So it's up to you. Always want to make sure that the company will say where the responsibilities lie.
Yep.
So, you joined Solar City for one reason, but honestly, it's probably the agreement and how the business model is set up.
right.
So,
Yeah, to me, as I said, it was a no-brainer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
It's
if
like-
if we hear that from the client, we know we did our job, because
absolutely.
the number one thing too is to always obviously thoroughly read the agreement to see, who's going to be doing the install. Solar City is a one-stop shop for everything vertically integrated, whereas we don't subcontract anything. So that's one big recommendation I would give to all those solar lookers out there.
Yep.
That's true. There's
Yep.
various levels of skill in terms of installers.
Yep. So just and just said you had the roofer who was
Yeah.
coming out. That's the thing is, we don't the subcontracting out work. It can be great because it does drop down price, but also you always want to make sure that when you're subcontracting out work, you want to make sure that they're there. You want to make sure that the quality is up to par. So that's another part of the contract of how it's so important for you to read over and get multiple different proposals, is seeing where the work is coming from.
Yeah,
So yes, if it's a one-stop shop, that's great. You know where the quality is coming from. If you're subcontracting out work, yes, the price is going to be dropped down, but you just always want to make sure that you're going to get it timely. That's definitely something that we've seen play out in the solar industry. Unfortunately, that's also I think a reason back in the 80s and 90s why it probably didn't go as far. But you need to be innovative. Sorry, with how the company is set up, and this is definitely a new way. Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. The certification standards are pretty weak at this stage still in terms of who can declare themselves a solar installer.
Yeah.
I think you just need a business card.
Yeah. Well, there's another option. I mean, I will totally say this is you can go out and do it yourself if you want. That's fine. I've had a couple people who I've met, and they're putting solar up on their roof, but also they've done it themselves. It's a great way of, if you're going to do it with your kids, just telling them how solar energy
what you're
works.
doing.
It's so simple. It's such a simple technology that you're almost surprised when you start doing these solar, kids projects. Why hasn't this just, skyrocketed? But that's definitely something that some people have done. But the thing is,
one of the biggest interesting
Yeah.
things, which I've got a crew chief that's going through solar certification this week, actually. It's a 3-week-long program. And he's a geothermal installer. So I run a geothermal company. But we do supplemental solar is a very common request. So we're getting skilled up on that side too. This is all industrial. But they made a very big deal out of the fact that people don't realize solar panels retain charge. They're like giant capacitors. So if you don't really pay attention to what's going out the wires, that you think this is, oh, it's unplugged, I shut the system off, it's all good, you can die. There can be enough charge in the panels to kill you.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's very key, obviously, to get the inspections.
Yeah.
Connecticut Light and Power will inspect.
But I mean, if you're going to try it on your own,
Yeah.
Right. Word of caution.
it's not quite as trivial as it may look. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's not.
So the workers make it look very easy.
Yes.
But
They
there's
do
something
it very
to
quickly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of Solar City and the companies out there who will really take care of the process for the homeowner. You know, they have the expertise and the experience to lead the way.
Well, and you hire your own, you train the people. I like that aspect of so you can assure the work quality that way. Which is we're doing exactly the same thing. We're not trying to sub out geothermal. We're trying to hire a workforce, a whole giant workforce.
And like you said, a workforce. I mean, solar itself has just exploded in terms of for the economy, for jobs.
Yeah.
And the best way of actually having a solid groundwork for making this industry huge is, having a great training system.
Yep.
Moving them through a company. I mean, we're both prime examples of this. We're both able to move through a company, and you always want to foresee that at least in the next 20 years, like there's going to be an industry out there.
Oh, clearly.
And you always want to have a great training system. You always want to see this new technology coming out so you can keep training them on more things.
Exactly.
There's a lot more houses out there that need to be covered in solar. So.
Yeah. Well, we're working with the Department of Labor in Connecticut to help set up an apprentice program for renewable energy installers.
Oh, okay.
And which is solar, geothermal, wind, and we'll use existing licenses and bases, but then the skills are so completely different, and they're overlapping like crazy. Like you put solar panels on the roof, well, they tend to run about 140 degrees. If you've got geothermal, you might want to run the pipes up underneath those and heat them up during the winter.
Yeah, you have to be innovative.
Right, and if you put solar shingles on, well, you need electrical skills to connect it up, but you need roofing skills to put the shingles on, and so it's not one or the other, it's both. And a lot of them require multiple skills in a way that we've never had before.
Sure.
And it's all coming down the road very fast. As soon as solar paint gets here, which is like solar shingles but spray on paint.
I foresee that on cars. I foresee that
Cars,
on
houses.
a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So it's just so exciting to see what kind of technology has already come, and what's going to be available to the world.
Yeah.
Like you said, Elon, he's just released his patents to the world, so you can get electric car to anyone can have that at different economies. So whether it's a BMW, a Ford, a Tesla, you can always have that. And then paints are gonna. I think the paint that'd be cool. And people have seen the solar roadways everywhere.
Yeah.
On Facebook, I just remember I've seen a lot of that.
Are they cost effective yet?
I have no clue.
I hear about them, but I haven't actually seen one anywhere or anybody actually talking about it.
I think it's still in beta. I don't know if they've actually got there.
Kind of what I thought. But it's cool. The renewables are strong enough now that I don't see any reason why all New England couldn't go between the combination of solar and geothermal, which is particularly effective in New England. We could eliminate almost all of the energy needs we have in New England on those two technologies alone.
It's the truth.
Throw in wind. We keep running around agonizing that it's a huge transition. It's such a small percentage of what we have now. Well, if we just go at it straightforwardly, like when we switched over to cable from telephone, it took a while, 10 years, 20 years, but you could do it in that kind of a time frame.
Yeah, no, and it's the truth. And markets like California and Hawaii are starting to see this revolution, and I think it's just starting to hit New England.
Yeah.
We're in the early adopter stage, but once it starts, word of mouth accelerates it. It's absolutely correct.
Then it goes really quick. Which is what we're hoping to do today, is just let people know that
This
hey,
is a
with no money
great
down,
program.
you can turn your home solar.
Yep.
I think
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Yep.
It's all about spreading the movement.
Yep.
Oh, absolutely.
It's all, I mean, that's how our company was even started off. That's how a lot of solar companies have started off. It's all grassroots movements. So you get a group of people to go solar, whether it's a neighborhood, it's a town, it's a city, or it's an entire state, and you get discounted power on that. And the more people that go solar, obviously, hopefully the end goal is to have cheaper electricity throughout the entire state, whether or not you can go solar or you can't.
Right.
So we'll see if that plays out. Unfortunately, as of right now, we've had, especially in some states where they haven't been totally pro-solar, you start, I don't
You
know
mean
how
like Oklahoma who finds you?
yeah, or we have Arizona. That's who we're kind of battling with at this point. They try different ways, but the thing is they're kind of going against everything that these politicians stand for. This is all about free market. It's all about kind of bringing solar to the masses.
Versus entrenched interests.
Yeah. So you're just, and there's a lot of people who have solar. It's an untapped market for whatever they want to charge you for or whatnot. So you start seeing that, but that's not going to stop the solar industry whatsoever. If anything, it makes. For me, it kind of makes you want to go a little harder on it. So especially for those states where it's prime solar locations, and more people start going solar and want it. There's a lot of people who want it out there.
Yeah, it's more available than we realize. I read one report once which said basically if you use the California solar approach, which is just mirrors that heat up a tube full of water. I mean, it's like it couldn't be older technology. So it sits in the desert. I think it's like 3-4 meters high where the tube runs across. These mirrors just heat it up. So it sits in the desert in Southern California, South China Sea, and so if you were to make an installation like that, 65 miles on a side, so a square that's 65 miles on each side, like in the middle of Nevada, which is we used to blow up nuclear weapons. I think it's about all it's good for. And but that size would provide enough electricity for the entire U.S.
Yep. And
We just can't move it yet.
Yeah, so that's called concentrated solar. It just mirrors going right to a central location. You can have it that way with water, or you can
just
have
hot
it.
water spins turbines and.
Or like I was just flying over the United States to go to Vegas the other day, and you start seeing these solar fields.
We have casinos here,
Yeah, I know. Maybe I'll stay local next time. But you start seeing these solar arrays. With the solar arrays, those are more for municipality uses. So you can source your electricity from a renewable source, which would be coming from, the middle of the desert or something. But there's going to be a lot more of those. In Connecticut, we've, on our commercial side, we do have some solar array farms. We also do commercial buildings as well. But with this, there are some towns, especially you see those solarized towns, which are a great way of, first off, spreading the word about solar in general and all the different options. But you start seeing a lot of those towns having fields or open areas just dedicated to solar. So I really foresee that we're going to see a lot more of those.
Oh, yeah. I've seen a lot of interest, like around New Haven, where they've got a lot of land that's not good for too much. But putting in a community solar array, which is just a big array at a vacant lot, fundamentally, and you sell it to all the community, the people who live around it. Just buy off the energy.
Sure, and schools are a great market for it. Hospitals.
Yeah, of course.
Corporate buildings.
Right.
Elon Musk affiliate with SpaceX and Tesla. I know their headquarters, SpaceX, has the panels on top of the roof out west.
So, yeah.
Yep. Well, absolutely.
Wow. Yeah, that's neat. There's, my understanding is that there's a lot of incentive support for putting in community solar as well as home solar. I mean, home solar's got, there's grants and rebates and tax offsets and stuff that if we don't pay for it, you take advantage of. so that you get the rate down to make it affordable. And that's really what's made the breakthrough,
Yep.
that you can do that.
Yep.
Because until now, it was too expensive. The return on investment was such that you could never get an investor to pony up the money for you to do the installation, provide the equipment, and still have enough left over so that you make a profit and you save us money.
Yeah.
But now solar's there.
Yeah, with that, you know, on the residential side, you know, we can only make 100% of your power. That's across the board. But
Why?
with that, we have, due to the rebates and the incentives, we can only make 100%. We can't start
If
making
you try
more.
to make it bigger,
Then
you won't get the
yeah,
incentives?
so
Exactly.
so you're not going to get the incentives.
yeah.
It used,
So I can't put so much on my house that I
No.
can sell it to my neighbors and
No, unfortunately, that's not the case anymore. It used to be the case, but and you would get it sold back to you at the wholesale price. You're not really finding a lot of those anymore. So probably about 8 to 10 years ago, yes. But yeah, the ultimate goal, I mean, I would have to say that, you know, the ultimate goal is you want one day to have these solar arrays, these solar farms, giving out to people who can't go solar. Because, you know, you
Right.
can, but unfortunately your neighbor can't. They have too many trees, and we don't want you cutting down the trees just to go solar. And also maybe the roof isn't good. They're
Right.
situated the wrong way.
Right.
So they should be able to at least source from another area. So just like we have a third party in Connecticut, maybe it can be a shared solar. But I'm not sure how that's going to work out. That's something we just focus on residential and what we can do at this point.
well, interesting. Well, we have same issues with geothermal, which is you can put it in an awful lot of places, but you can't put it everywhere. And so you particularly have to, you don't have to, but the efficiency is way better if you're going through rock. The other extreme is sand, and it's like 10 times the thermal conductivity difference, you know, between the two. So if you're in a sandy area, Nevada would not be a great place for geothermal, probably.
No.
So I think it's sand all the way down as
Yeah.
far as you go. But,
Yeah.
but
Connecticut,
around here,
Connecticut is a great place to have renewable energy.
Yeah.
I think across the board.
absolutely.
We have
Even the wind
we have,
offshore. We have
Yep.
tremendous winds offshore.
Yeah, we have tidal. I think that's going to be a big thing, as well as wind and solar. We're primed for solar. We have high electricity rates, so that's obvious. That's why it's a good place to go solar.
Right.
And also, yes, geothermal. We have a lot of rocks that can be used to go geothermal as well. So it's going to be a combination of things for people to eventually go green. It kind of works different strokes for different folks. You know, if you have a large exposure for solar, go right ahead. If you happen to have you know what's underneath your home and you can go geothermal, maybe that's going to be your route. If you live by the shore, maybe you can get some tidal or wind power. So, yeah, eventually everyone has the opportunity. It's just kind of knowing about
Well,
it.
geothermal is I'm talking about ground
sorry.
source heat pump
Okay.
geothermal,
Okay.
which is only BTUs. There's no electricity that comes out of that.
Okay, yes, so,
So it's good for heating and for air conditioning. But in terms of just energy, that's our biggest energy use in
Okay,
New England
true.
is heating and cooling, certainly for residences. So that can anchor everything. You know, and right now
Apologize.
we're doing industry level, but that's just because of the way the financing works. That we basically financiers want a $5 million project to finance, and that's a lot of homes to get to a $5 million project. I mean, you'd be talking a quarter of the city or something. But whereas downtown, it's like a block, you know, or a big block. So in terms of getting financed, but then after you start putting in a lot, you can then start rolling in the residential on top of it and just add to it. And so ultimately, I mean, our goal, like we're working with New Haven now to try to see if we can't turn the entire city geothermal. And people
That'd
can
be
opt
awesome.
out. They can say, no, I don't want to do it for
Sure.
whatever, just to be ornery or whatever.
yeah.
With geothermal, you save a ton. You save a third anyway, sometimes half. So it's huge, but it's on just on heat and cooling energy. you still need to deal with electricity, but then solar is like the natural, obvious thing, particularly in a downtown area where there's not trees at the tops of the buildings level, you know, and you can put that in as well. Man, that cuts a lot of the energy footprint down and turns it renewable.
That, and you know, a lot of people always say, should we wait to go solar? In all honesty, the time is now.
Yeah, exactly.
Lock in the low kilowatt per hour rate while you can, before the rate hikes get here.
Yeah.
So you can protect yourself.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, so our time's about up.
Okay.
Anything you'd like to say in closing, or is that to leave people with? It's been a good discussion. I've enjoyed this.
It has been.
Solar is really exciting, to say the least.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like Tony said, this is the prime time to go solar. It's funny because I'm on TV. But yeah, you're going to have a lot of benefits to going solar. Yes, price protection, it's long-term savings, and also, yes, you're going green.
Yeah,
but at no expense nowadays.
Right.
So.
And your energy generation is very
Absolutely. It's as local as you can get.